So who has tight shoulder blades? Everyone, right? I know you do, because you're watching this video. So let's see how we can loosen these up a little bit. And you'll hear different things like, oh, you gotta go to massage, they gotta get in there and break that up. Or you hear, no, you need to go to a chiropractor, they need to adjust the bones in that area to realign the curves. Or you hear, no, that's dumb, you gotta strengthen those weaker rhomboid muscles that pull the shoulder blades back and down. That's the only way they're gonna stay there. And to all of that I say, yes.
So the picture on the right is the dowager's hump, and it shows how the spine gets involved when those muscles above the shoulder blades get very tight and it gets very curved. A lot of that can be coming from the pelvis too, so make sure you watch the videos on posture and pelvic tilt and sway back, because that plays into this as well. And here we have a picture of the levator scapula, and that can often be very tight. It attaches there to the cervical bones. So that muscle is often tight, pulling the shoulder blade up, and overlaying that is the upper traps, which attach to the back of the skull. So a lot of headaches can come from there when that's very tight, especially if it's tight on one side over the other, which often happens. So you do want to get that corrected through massage or chiropractic, get everything lined up. And then we have the rotator cuff muscle that can be on top of the shoulder blade itself. And this can create patterns such as this guy, he's off to the side, one shoulder's higher than the other. So check yourself in the mirror, see if you see any head tilt like that.
You gotta stretch it, you gotta loosen it up, you gotta strengthen the synergist muscles, and we gotta get those bones, make sure those are adjusted and in line, because if you got one kinked up, you're not gonna have the range of motion. So what are your steps that you should be taking to make sure that those shoulder blades are in the right position they need to be? So first, if you're not under chiropractic care or massage therapy, you probably should be if those are really bothering you, because there could be just some range of motion issues that you won't be able to achieve with the exercises and with these stretches. And the next thing we do once we got the bones lined up is we need to first stretch and loosen up those muscles. So we're going to run through some warm-up exercises first to really activate those muscles and get them loosened up and really focus on bringing the shoulders back. And that's to get some blood flow to the muscle. So the first thing you want to do is try to activate the muscles that bring the shoulder blades back. This is a good one because we don't want our heads back, we want it straight with our chin in, almost like a military posture. And we're almost lifting up and pushing forward, and our head is pushing reverse. This is an isometric exercise. And now we're pressing against the head and we're squeezing the shoulder blades back. We call this one the bumblebee. So get some good squeezing pressure in between your shoulders and while lifting your head up. The next one is the butterfly, which is good. So this one we want to activate those muscles in between the shoulder blades, squeezing them together. Now don't lean back when you're doing any of these. You always want to keep your core tight. That foundation in our pelvis is important. So if you have one of those pelvic tilts we were talking about before, that could really mess you up here and give you that dowager's hump and that curved spine, which we don't want. So we want all this straight with our postures in line before we even attempt any of this stuff, okay? So the butterfly, squeeze in there. Next we're doing the eagle. Now this does activate the muscles and brings them up, but that's okay as long as your head is in the way. You can reach across, left or right, and just do these motions about 2 or a minute each. So now we're going to go into the stretching. So we got to loosen up these muscles. How do we do that? There's a couple good ways. One way is very simple. You're going in, tilting your head. This is a good way to start and just stretch. You're pulling down on the shoulder. Going across, really digging in, loosen it up. This is just a light warm-up. So this is good to get you going. Now, some of the problem, which we'll get to an exercise later for this, is that the pecs are very tight. So if you're feeling the pecs here and they're very sore where they attach to the shoulder, they can pull you inwards. And we don't want that either, because then we got internal rotation. That flares the shoulder blades out too.
So this one here hits the pec muscles. So it's called a doorway stretch, and you're stretching, lunging in with one leg, gradually stretching. You're not bouncing, you're not throwing yourself, you're not putting your head forward. He's got his head upright and his neck is straight as it should be. And switch legs when you're doing this one to stretch gradually into the doorway. Try your arms at different heights just to get the two different muscles there.
So we got to fight against that. But first, let's loosen up these muscles up here. There's a couple different ways. You can take a foam roller, or this is a sliced up pool noodle stuffed with paper. That also works as well. So what you want to do is get this behind your shoulder blades. And you want to get your body up on there. Roll it to the top of the shoulder blades. And you can actually stay here for a little bit. Just roll in that area that really sticks up. And you'll feel some tightness. The idea is you're trying to get that foam roller on top of those shoulder blades and you're rolling them down like they're an uncooperative piece of dough, and the foam roller is the rolling pin. Then you want to lift your butt up. Keep your neck flexed. Keep those neck flexors tight. You don't want your head hanging back. You want to reach up high. This really forces the shoulder blades down. So this is like a bridge exercise with the foam roller. You can do this without the foam roller too. If it's too tight, you can work your way up into there. So you can do that for about 10 seconds. Do a couple of those. And you can definitely reach with one arm more than the other if you're noticing some tightness. Trying to get the shoulder blade loosened on one side over the other. If you're noticing that one's more tighter than the other. Okay, you might even get some nice pops, audible sounds in there. Those are just the joints loosening up and pressure easing out of the joints. Alright? So foam roller. Another way to do this is a little more painful. And I wouldn't hop into right away if they are very sore, but you can use lacrosse balls. Place them under there, right in the ball of the muscle. They're unwieldy, and you're lifting up, same thing. Oh yeah, it hurts. So this is like trigger point therapy. And don't let that neck hang back. And keep your core strong while you're doing this one too. So those are the torture balls. Lacrosse balls, tennis balls might work. Lacrosse balls are nice and hard and heavy. So we've warmed up, right? And then we stretched. So you want to warm up about 5 minutes. You also want to stretch for about 5 to 10 minutes, depending what you're doing. If you're doing all that foam rolling and all that, and the bridge movements, you can spend a whole 10 minutes there. But right after that, you need to strengthen the muscles that are going to pull the shoulders down and back, because they're going up and forward, so we need to get them down and back. So a good way to do that is with a exercise band or a TheraBand, or you could even use some weights. So I'll show you some with some weight exercises as well to help you out. So a lot of them, you'll see them do the bands up here. They're holding it across the chest, and this is kind of the right motion, but what it does is it raises the shoulder blades up too much, and we don't want too much of that. So we want to try to get the shoulders down, and we want to pull across this way, a little bit lower. Make sure you're squeezing in the blades. Really concentrate on that. I like to have my hands open because I really want to get external rotation in the shoulders. A lot of people with the shoulder issues is because the shoulders are internally rotated. If they're very internally rotated and you got a lot of tightness, you can do rotator cuff exercises first before this one. And this one you want to wrap around the thumb like that. So you're squeezing into the side. Don't let your elbow go out. Keeping your core tight, neck tight. Doing that motion. Make sure you feel that shoulder come back. So this is working this part of the rotator cuff, which brings the shoulder blade back and in. This one's going to bring it up and forward, so we need to reverse that.
So whereas the supraspinatus brings the arm up into abduction, the muscle that actually brings it forward is the subscapularis muscle, here by the red arrow, which pulls it forward. The other muscles which counteract this motion, which bring the arm into external rotation, is where the circle is. That's the infraspinatus, the big muscle on the back of your shoulder blade, and the one in your armpit here, which is the teres minor muscle. And although each of these muscles assists with a motion, their entire job revolves around holding the humerus into the socket, the scapular socket, which we call the glenohumeral joint. So if they become imbalanced, they can pull that bone out of the socket. So the humerus will be pulled toward whichever muscles are strong and short.
Do it on the other side, see how it feels. Because most often, you need this on both sides. And just don't go here really fast. You want to get to that end range of motion and then push it. And that's when you're going to feel it. And that's what's going to do the work. It's not through here. It's at that very end, that last little push. And you'll feel it. If you don't feel it, it's too easy. You're not doing it right. All right, so back to these. If you want to do about 10 sets lower.
So in this picture, you want to keep your core tight so she's sucking it in the stomach, keeping her hip in line with her shoulder, but you also want to keep the band lower than she has it for this exercise. You want to do it like the picture here in the middle where the shoulder blades are squeezing together and down. So lower your arms a little bit to achieve that, and also externally rotate the shoulders. And don't forget to have your chin tucked in.
And then you want to do some really low ones. Grab in here, turn the hands out, palms forward. So the elbows are squeezed at your sides now. Make sure those blades are back. Remember, posture is key in all these. So do about 10 there, 10 of the other ones. Isn't that right, Kat? Then you can take some dumbbells. So you're just going to have to use your imagination. I don't have any dumbbells right now. So hold the dumbbells like this, depending on your weight. I'm about 180, but I use about 10 pounds. You can go lighter. You want a little weight because you're not lifting the shoulders up, you're letting them drop. And you're letting them decompress. So this is going to engage your triceps while stretching your biceps. And your shoulders in external rotation, so it's going to help loosen up that head. Just make sure you're really tucking that chin in. So the key is to warm up, stretch them out, then strengthen. And you also want to get some mobilization in the spine if it's locked up, so see a chiropractor. And if the muscles are just being horrible little creatures, go to get some massage, or there might be something more mechanically wrong where you need to see a physical therapist or a chiropractor for some sort of shoulder or neck issue as well.
So doing these stretches and exercises are very hard initially because the muscle is so shortened that bringing our shoulders up and bringing our head back actually relieves a lot of the pain, but it's increasing the problem. It's shortening the muscle even more. So when we're elongating this muscle and stretching it out and strengthening the opposite muscles, the neck flexors, initially it is very uncomfortable and it's very unnatural for us. It's easy for us to just slump back into this posture because we're not fighting against the tightness. So here, if you have trouble with your hair getting rolled up in the foam roller when you're doing this, you can either use tennis balls or you can put a hoodie on, which actually helps the hair from getting rolled up. But sometimes you roll the hood up too. But you don't want it rolling too much in this position while you're there. It's just to mainly push the shoulder blades down. So if she's going up into the bridge, lift the butt a little bit higher. Really try to bring the arms back. You can almost get them to a point where you're touching the floor, but that's going to take some time. So this really strengthening your core as well as really pushing on those bones and those muscles, driving the shoulder blades down, really loosening them up so you're ready for your workout. The idea is we're really just bashing those muscles and beating them up and trying to get them to stretch out and loosen up a little bit just because they're so short. So another thing is when you're driving, you can try to get your collar out of the way. Bring your head back like this and press lightly into the headrest. This will also stretch those shoulders out when you're driving. You want to try to get the blades behind you and the shoulders back a little bit. Keep your core tight. Press with your head while squeezing the shoulder blades back. And overall, that can help you out. Maybe it'll even get rid of that double chin. Yeah, how's mine looking? Still got some work to do, right?